Hello everyone, Ashna is here. Welcome to the 18th session of presentation in English. In today's class, let us deal with a grammar topic, that is direct and indirect speech. Before I commence the class, I would like to tell you about today's class. See children, for your kind information, it is an introduction class. So here we are going to learn the rules and regulations of direct speech and indirect speech. So you have to focus on the changes which takes place from direct speech to indirect speech in a sentence. So in the upcoming classes, I am going to deal with the dialogue format. So that is the way the question is asked in your board examination. So before dealing with the dialogue format, you should be having the clarity with the rules and regulations of converting from direct speech to indirect speech. That is general rules and regulations of the topic. So in the next upcoming classes, we will deal with the dialogue format so that you have to convert the dialogue form, that is direct speech, to reported form. There are certain rules and regulations to be followed to rewrite the dialogue form to reported form. Come, let's learn the rules and regulations. We all know that English language has two ways to narrate the spoken words of a person. These two ways are known as direct speech and indirect speech. These two ways are usually used to convey a message, spoken words of one person to another person. For example, you are at your college. Mr. Arjun, who is your teacher, says to you, I want to meet your parents. So when you come back home, you will inform your parents in the following two ways. That is, Mr. Arjun said, I want to meet your parents. This is direct speech. In indirect speech, Mr. Arjun said that he wanted to meet my parents. These two ways are also used to simply narrate spoken words that have no message to convey of one person to another. Here is another way. Example, suppose you meet your friend Mr. Arun in the market. So Mr. Arun says to you, I bought a book for you. When you come home, you may say the words of Mr. Arun to your sibling in the following two ways. That is direct speech. Mr. Arun said, I bought a book for you. Indirect speech, Mr. Arun said that he had bought a book for me. So direct and indirect speech are also called direct and indirect narrations. Direct and indirect speech are also called direct and indirect narrations. Now, let us know the differences between direct and indirect speech. Direct speech, the message of the speaker is conveyed or reported in his own actual words without any change. For example, Radha said, I am very busy now. So that this is direct speech. In direct speech, the actual words with no change or speaker are quoted. The exact words or actual words of the speaker are enclosed in inverted commas or quotation marks. Enclosed in inverted commas or quotation marks. There is always a comma or a colon after said. You can see here the comma or colon after said, either comma or colon, that introduces the spoken words. In direct speech, the message of the speaker is conveyed or reported in our own words. The message of the speaker is conveyed or reported in our own words. For example, Radha said that she was very busy then. Now, here you can see the changes between direct and indirect speech. In indirect speech, the actual words of the speaker are changed. The reason for change in actual words is that the actual words have been spoken by the speaker in past. Hence, narrating it in the present will require change in the tense of the actual words. You can see the change in the tense. For example, here, I am. But here, she was. Am has changed into was. The pronouns of the sentence are also changed accordingly. Here you can see the pronoun, first person pronoun I has changed into she. The words of speaker are not enclosed in inverted commas or quotation marks. See here. In the first sentence, you can see the direct words of the speaker has enclosed with inverted commas. But here, it's not. So that you have to remove inverted comma when you convert direct speech into indirect speech. The word that will be used before the spoken words of the speaker. So here we can see the word that is used, but here it's not. So when you convert direct speech into indirect speech, these are the points you have to keep it in the mind. First thing, when you convert direct speech into indirect speech, you have to add that. Second, you have to remove inverted commas or quotation marks. Third thing, pronoun changes. I becomes she. Fourth thing, changes in tense. And fifth thing is that changes in adverbs. That is time changes. Now, how are you going to change the tense from direct speech into indirect speech? Before that, let us understand very important terms in direct and indirect speech. To convert direct speech into indirect speech, we should be knowing the important terms related to it. Here it is: reporting speech, reported speech, reporting verb, reported verb. Now, what are these? Reporting speech, reporting verb, reported verb are called. For example, she says, I am feeling cold. This is direct speech. Indirect speech, she says that she is feeling cold. For example, here, reporting speech is the first part of the direct speech is reporting speech. The first part of the direct speech. Here you can see the first part of the direct speech is called reporting speech. Second part of the sentence, which is enclosed in inverted commas or quotation marks, is reported speech. The verb of the reporting speech is known as a reporting verb. The verb of the reporting speech is known as the reporting verb. You can see the reporting verb here. Says. The verb of the reported speech is known as the reported verb. The verb of the reported speech is known as the reported verb. Got it? Here in this example, you can concentrate on the verbs. Here, the tense of the verb has not changed. For example, she says, I am feeling cold. In direct speech, she says that she is feeling cold. So here, the tense of the reporting verb says, the tense of the reporting verb is in present. So, the tense of the reported verb, the tense of the reported verb remains as it is. That is, if the tense of the reporting verb is in present tense, then when you convert direct speech into indirect speech, the tense remains as it is. It will not change. It is in present tense. It did not change into was. It remained as is. Now, let us sum up the basic rules for indirect speech in detail. First, let us take with an example. Direct speech. Radha said, I am very busy now. Now, how can we convert the sentence I am very busy now. Obviously, we have done this. Radha said that she was very busy then. So, the first rule number 1, when we convert direct speech into indirect speech, what are the changes we can find? All inverted commas or quotation marks are omitted and the sentence ends with a full stop. Where? In direct speech. In indirect speech, words of the speaker are not enclosed in inverted commas or quotation mark. In indirect speech, the words of the speaker are not enclosed in inverted commas or quotation mark. Rule number 2. Conjunction that is added before the indirect statement. So, before the indirect statement, we have to add conjunction that. The conjunction that is always used between reporting verb and reported speech in indirect speech. Rule number 3. The pronoun I is changed to she. The pronoun I is changed to she. The pronoun is changed in person. So changes in pronoun. The pronoun or subject of reported speech is sometimes changed according to the pronoun or subject or object of the reported verb. First sentence of direct speech. The possessive pronouns, that is his, her, my, their, your, etc. may also change according to subject or object of the first sentence. Rule number 4. Changes in tense. Changes in tense of the reported speech. A change is made in tense of reported speech for changing a direct speech into indirect speech. If the reporting verb, that is first sentence of direct speech, is either present tense or future tense, no change will be made in the reported speech for making indirect speech. Only if the reporting verb or of direct speech belongs to the past tense, changes will be made in tense reported speech for making indirect speech. The verb am is changed to was. So present tense is changed to past. Rule number 5. Changes in adverb. That is, changes in time. Time changing. If there is time mentioned in the sentence of direct speech, the time will be changed in indirect speech. There are certain rules changing the time. That is, not into then, tomorrow into the next day, today into that day, yesterday into the previous day, etc. etc. Now you can go through the video which I have enclosed in this presentation. After the video, you can see the rules and regulations which I have enclosed here in the presentation. The rules and regulations, that is changes in tenses, how the direct speech into indirect speech changes according to the tenses. I have enclosed it. Please go through this.
Changing direct into indirect speech. There are many rules in changing direct into indirect speech. Let's start with the verb tenses. When changing direct into indirect speech, the verb tense usually changes. So the rule is, when we report something, we need to go back a tense. Try to take note of the following examples. Direct speech in present simple turns into past simple when changed into indirect speech. Present continuous becomes past continuous. Present perfect becomes past perfect. And present perfect continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Examples: I eat pizza, Lisa said. I eat pizza is present simple, but with indirect speech it becomes Lisa said she ate pizza, a past simple. For present continuous, we have I am eating pizza, Lisa said. The indirect speech is Lisa said she was eating pizza, a past continuous. For present perfect, we have I have eaten pizza, Lisa said. The indirect speech is Lisa said she had eaten pizza, a past perfect. For present perfect continuous, we have I have been eating pizza, Lisa said. The indirect speech is Lisa said she had been eating pizza, past perfect continuous. Direct speech in past simple turns into past perfect when changed into indirect form. Past continuous becomes past perfect continuous, while past perfect and past perfect continuous don't change form because they're the last verb tenses that we have. There's nothing more before them. Examples: I ate pizza, Lisa said. The indirect speech is Lisa said she had eaten pizza. For past continuous, we have I was eating pizza, Lisa said. It becomes past perfect continuous, which is Lisa said she had been eating pizza. For past perfect, we have I had eaten pizza. The indirect speech is still the same. Lisa said she had eaten pizza. The last one, I had been eating pizza. The indirect speech is still the same. Lisa said she had been eating pizza. But remember, if something is still true or still happening up to the time of reporting, then we may use the same tense. Examples: My father is a businessman, he said. This is in the present simple. The rule is we have to move back a tense, so it will become a past simple, which is he said that his father was a businessman. However, this statement could still be true at the time of reporting, so we can use the same tense. He said that his father is a businessman. Another one, the doctor said you need enough sleep. The doctor said I needed enough sleep. Or, the doctor said I need enough sleep. The second rule is regarding the use of modals. We also change our modals when we make indirect speeches. Examples: the modal will change into would, can into could, may, might, shall, should, and must into had to. Examples: we will play football, he said. The indirect speech is he said he would play football. Tony said I can play piano well. The indirect speech is Tony said he could play piano well. It may rain, the weatherman said. The indirect speech is the weatherman said it might rain. We shall go, Alex said. The indirect speech is Alex said we should go. The last one is must. Sandra said I must study. The indirect speech is Sandra said she had to study. But there are a few exceptions to this rule because there are no changes to the following modals: could, would, should, and might. Examples: I could cook, he said. The indirect speech is he said he could cook. Mrs. James would like to talk to you, Harry said. Harry said Mrs. James would like to talk to me. The third rule is regarding pronoun change. When making a reported speech, remember that the pronoun also changes since the person doing the reporting is not the original speaker. Examples: I am sad, Marty said. The indirect speech is Marty said that he was sad. The pronoun I was changed into he. Another one, you have to be there, he said. He said that I had to be there. The pronoun you was changed into I. The last one, I saw your sister, she said. The indirect speech is, she said that she had seen my sister. The pronoun I was changed into she, and the pronoun your was changed into my. For our exercise, change the given direct speech into indirect speech. The first one, I gave her the book, Ben said. The indirect speech is, Ben said he had given her the book. The pronoun I was changed into he, while the verb in past simple gave was changed into past perfect, which is had given. The second one, you may put your stuff on the table, she said. The indirect speech is, she said I might put my stuff on the table. The pronoun you was changed into I, while the modal may was changed into might. The third one, Bob said I live in Oak Street. There are two answers for this. What could it be? The first one, Bob said he lived in Oak Street. The second one, Bob said he lives in Oak Street. The pronoun I was changed into he, while the sentence I live in Oak Street could still be true. That's why we could use the same tense, or we can move back a tense. You should practice, teacher said. The indirect speech is, teacher said I should practice. The pronoun you was changed into I, while there is no change to the modal should. The last one, I was fixing the faucet, Dad said. The indirect speech is, Dad said he had been fixing the faucet. The pronoun I was changed into he, while the verb in past progressive was fixing was changed into past perfect progressive had been fixing. Did you get them right?